Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General, and appreciate your presence for our announcement today of our lawsuit against social media giant Meta. Together, and I'm very proud that I can use that word, together with a bipartisan group of state attorneys general, we're suing Meta. Attorneys general from across the nation, multi-state, bipartisan, who are coming together to hold Meta accountable and protect the health and safety of our children. We are suing Meta, the umbrella company for Facebook, Instagram, and other popular platforms, for violating federal and state laws, including the following three laws that we're focusing on: the Federal Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, California's Unfair Competition Law, and California's False Advertising Law. I'm co-leading this lawsuit, and I'm proud to stand alongside my colleagues in sister states announcing today's very important action. The breadth and commitment of our coalition underscores what a tremendous national concern we have before us today. This is a national issue requiring and deserving of a national response, and that's what you have on full display today. AGs from across the nation rising up to address this issue. Before I get into the specifics, though, I first want to briefly acknowledge the members of my consumer protection section, who I'm very proud of, grateful for, who've been working overtime around the clock to get us to where we are today. We filed our complaint today in the Northern District of California. No small feat to get this done. Here is the complaint. It is a robust and fact-filled complaint full of allegations against Meta, and that is now officially filed here in the Northern District of California, and we've been assigned Judge Rogers as part of the multi-district litigation. I want to thank Deputy Attorneys General Joshua Olszewski, Jubileer, Megan O'Neill, and Marissa Roy, an incredible team, again, working overtime, working with our partners and team members across the country. I want to thank our analysts, Jake Fernandez, Alonzo Gomez, and Miguel Ortiz, for their incredible work and commitment to this effort. I want to thank Supervising Deputy Attorney General Bernard Eskandari, as well as Senior Assistant Attorney General Nick Akers and Special Assistant Attorney General Ellie Bloom, and here are some of my incredible team members here who got us to where we are today. Thank you all. I'm grateful for your service. We're here today because we are facing, as I mentioned, a problem of national scope. The social media company Meta has been and is currently putting our children in serious danger, period, full stop. A danger our kids carry with them just about everywhere they go, in their backpacks, in their pockets, and glued to their hands, to school, to dinner, and even to bed. Meta's suite of platforms, including Instagram and Facebook, are giants of the social media world, virtually omnipresent. In the U.S., Facebook has more than 240 million users, and Instagram has 160 million. The latter is particularly popular with young users, Instagram. In 2022, 62% of U.S. teens said they used the photo and video-based app. The vast majority of adults are guilty of using, maybe even overusing, social media. I use social media, and I get just how integrated into our lives these products can be and are. But what's scary is how much our kids are using these apps, and even more so, the detrimental effect it's having on them. And that detrimental effect is not a theory or a hypothesis, a belief of what could be. It is known. It is a fact, the detriment to our children. Social media has fundamentally altered the psychological and social world that our children inhabit. 35% of all U.S. teens say they, quote, almost constantly, end quote, use one or more of the top 5 social media platforms, including Instagram and Facebook. Intuitively, I think we all know that's not good. As a dad, that's not what I want for my kids. nor anything I want for any of your kids, of our kids here in California and in the U.S. But it's not just intuition. We have data to prove this is not good. This past May, the U.S. Surgeon General issued an advisory warning that adolescents who spend more than 3 hours per day on social media face double the risk of experiencing poor mental health outcomes, including symptoms of depression and symptoms of anxiety. Sadly, in 2021, 8th and 10th graders were found to spend an average of 3.5 hours per day on social media. That's just a small window into this enormous problem. More time on social media tends to be correlated with depression, anxiety, body image issues, susceptibility to addiction, and interference with daily life, including learning. Every additional hour young people spend on social media is associated with an increased severity in symptoms of depression. Excessive and problematic social media use has been linked to sleep problems, attention problems, and feelings of exclusion among young people. As if being young isn't hard enough. And this is the painful part. Everything I just said, Meta knows all of this. Meta has the evidence. It has the information. It has the data at its fingertips. And chose to disregard it. All to promote their products, increase engagement by users, and really driving this to make bigger profits. Knowingly harmed children to make bigger profits. So our children are the ones suffering, their health, their well-being. Meta has harnessed its extraordinary innovation and technology to lure youth and teens to maximize use of its products. In seeking to bolster profits, Meta has repeatedly misled the public about the substantial dangers of its products. It has concealed the ways in which Instagram and Facebook exploit and manipulate its most vulnerable consumers, teenagers and children. We know, thanks to our investigation, as well as disclosures by former insiders, that the company knows the following. Instagram is harmful to a significant percentage of teenagers, especially teen girls. They have research that found that 13.5% of teen girls on Instagram say the platform makes thoughts of suicide and self-injury worse. That 17% say it makes eating issues worse, and 32% say it makes body image worse. Meta has internal warnings that certain key features can push users into harmful content. All this they knew. Our investigation has shown that Instagram in particular includes design features that are harmful to our young people. Features that unscrupulously induce extended and habitual use of Instagram by exploiting known psychological vulnerabilities in developing brains. They want you to use Instagram as much as possible and stay on as long as possible. Some of the psychological vulnerabilities in developing brains, such as body dysmorphic filters that show how you could look with plastic surgery. That is a feature. What you might look like with plastic surgery. Use the filter and see. For children. They use alerts with beeps, lights, and bright vibrations that go off during the school day when you should be learning, through the night when you should be sleeping. They have an infinite scroll that can suck you in for hours. Ephemeral content that can only be seen for a short period of time, like Instagram stories, which disappear after 24 hours. It makes you want to check it before it goes away. Popularity metrics, the number of likes, comments, and shares you get. Algorithms that purposefully select and serve content to manipulate dopamine hits. Not organic flow of content. Algorithmically guided content for that individual to keep them on longer. and more frequently. We have evidence that Meta knew the like button leads teenagers to compulsively engage with the platform. Evidence that they discussed the potential negative impact it could have and decided not to do away with it, to keep it after engaging and intentionally discussing it internally. We have internal documents that include studies and reports discussing the harmful effects of Meta's products and the mental health problems they can cause young users. We know that Meta knows that Instagram is, quote, addicting. They use that word, addicting, internally. It's in their own internal documents. Not only did Meta know all of this and more, they lied about it. They knew and they lied. They lied to its users. They lied to parents. They lied to you and to me, to all of us. CEO and founder Mark Zuckerberg testified to Congress, went before the leaders of our nation, and said Meta doesn't design its products to be addictive, that Instagram doesn't harm children. That was his testimony. Instagram president Adam Mosseri testified to Congress that Instagram isn't addictive. He was on message. He told reporters that research he's seen suggests the app's effects on teenage well-being is likely quite small, was his quote. Meta as a company has put out a number of public statements that appear to contradict its own internal research about the effect of Instagram on children. So remember, we have Mr. Mosseri, Mr. Zuckerberg telling Congress their product is not addictive, and behind closed doors when no one's looking, when they're talking to each other, they use that very word, addictive. In fact, our investigation has found instances where the company acknowledged internally that it had misled the public. Meta's conduct is deceitful, it is dangerous, and as we make clear in our lawsuit filed today, it is illegal. Let's talk about our lawsuit for a moment. Our lawsuit alleges that Meta violated the Federal Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, called COPPA for short, and numerous state consumer protection laws, including, chief among them, California's unfair competition law and our false advertising law. Those are the three main claims. COPPA helps to regulate online services used by children under 13, so for our youngest, most vulnerable children. While officially Instagram and Facebook don't allow users under 13, we have evidence that Meta is well aware that they do actually have users under 13. We allege that the company is unlawfully collecting personal information from those children under 13. California's unfair competition law prohibits unlawful, unfair, and fraudulent business practices. California's false advertising law prohibits false and misleading advertising. You just got an example of the types of falsehoods, deception, lies that Meta has been pushing out into the public. We think it's clear that Meta knew about and denied the harms that can come from young people using their platforms. Our lawsuit alleges that Meta's scheme to exploit young users includes creating a business model focused on maximizing young users' time on the platform, employing harmful and psychologically manipulative platform features, while at the same time misleading young users, their families, and the public about the safety of those features. Publishing reports purporting to show misleadingly low rates of user harms. And in spite of the overwhelming evidence linking its platforms to young user harms, refusing to address those harms, not doing anything, while continuing to conceal and downplay its platform's adverse effects. As a dad of 3, I'm angered and horrified by what our investigation turned up. As AG, I, along with my colleagues across the country, are taking action to do something about it. because it's clear that the law has been violated. It's clear that Meta has deliberately deceived users and harmed our children and teens. Why? To pad the corporate bottom line. And we're saying no more. I refuse to allow Meta to trample on our children's mental and physical health, all to promote its products and increase its profits. I refuse to allow the company to mislead users and their families or feign ignorance of the harm it is knowingly causing. I refuse to let Meta continue business as usual when that business is harming our children. So together with my fellow state AGs, we will hold Meta to account, stop its dangerous practices, and stop its deceit, its lies. While today's announcement is about Meta, this is just one part of what's an ongoing inquiry into the harms that social media platforms are causing to our children and teens. Today, we draw the line. We must protect our children online. We will not back down from this very important fight. Thank you for joining me today. Happy to take any questions you may have. So this is first through the door, so to speak. It's our first public lawsuit. Again, with multiple attorneys general. As you may know, we have our federal lawsuit, I think brought by 33 attorneys general. Then there's 8 state lawsuits throughout the nation. About a year ago, November of last year, we announced the investigation into Meta, which has led us to this day, with the filing of the lawsuit. We also announced back then an investigation into TikTok. So we have been investigating TikTok. That is public. And we are broadly interested in social media platforms. Meta and TikTok are the two we can publicly share with you. But we do have an interest that is broader than that. Yep. We expect that will be their first line of defense. Section 230, First Amendment. We believe that we have strong state causes of action. We believe we have very strong federal causes of action. I mean, it's essentially a strict liability statute that says that you cannot be pushing your platform to children under 13. And what are they going to do? Argue that they have a First Amendment right to do what the law prohibits? You can't knowingly do that. So we're bullish and feel strong about that claim. Some of our state law claims are among the strongest statutes when it comes to deception, unlawful, unfair actions in the nation. They will certainly have their defenses, but we believe at the end of the day we prevail. And we are very well aware of their likely defenses, and we have decided to bring this lawsuit because we believe we will win on the merits in the end. They're going to have some arguments that suggest they fall squarely within Section 230's protections. We will have arguments that differ. We believe that when it comes to protecting our children, targeting them knowingly, knowing the harms that they cause, that Section 230 will not provide them the protection that they seek. So, but that is an issue. You're right to flag it. It will be a squarely cited defense by Meta.